And it's the Paul, Mark, and the Tech Guys show here on 98.9. Great to have your company, and I think we can grab the guys. Are you all in? Howdy doody, howdy. No, we're not in.
Yeah, no, we're in, mate. We're in the show. We're looking forward to tonight's show, Paul. You're looking great there in the studio.
Hello.
Oh, hang on.
Paul, Mark, and the Tech Guys show here this evening on 98.9 Northwest FM. And my name is Paul Curry. Let's just see what is going on here. We're live.
Yep. Is that your fault, Julio? Like you're the tech guy?
No. Yep, we're in. We're on.
Oh, mate.
We're
on.
It
always is the way, Shireen. It's great to have Shireen here. I'm sure Paul's going to introduce you. But it's good to have our celebrity friend here, Shireen.
You in there, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep,
you know, Julio, Shireen's got her own website. And she's got Shireen, you're just amazing. You've got all sorts of things going on there.
So, circus act.
I don't want to introduce you because I think Paul's going to introduce you. Are you with us, Paul?
Can you hear me now? I think we had a bit of a. Why does that always happen? Let me just check that one there. I think you should do the intro, Mark. Forgive me whilst I just fix this one up.
All right, yeah, well, okay. We've got Shireen Blom here from Stride Education. She is the manager of Stride Education. Plus, she's a coach. Plus, she's written books. Plus, she's all sorts of things. She's actually a golfer, nearly a professional golfer, Julio. So, Shireen, good evening. It's great to have you here on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me again. It's great to be here tonight.
Wow. Fantastic. And we're going to talk about all things about communication and connection. Like connection's so important, Shireen.
So important. So important.
Don't you think it's a bit funny that we started off the show, though, not connecting to Paul? So that's quite interesting, isn't it?
It's not good at all, let me tell you. Not good at all. We're here. We made it. Great to see you.
It's good to have you here, Paul. How are you going tonight, mate? You relaxed?
Oh, look, I am relaxed, but I tell you what, when you get to the start of the show and that happens, then it doesn't. I move out of that relaxed mode into that. But I think we've got some great people on the show. Guy. What about help me out, Tech Guy. Help me out.
No, I'm good here. I'm actually got everything working fine on my end. It looks like communication between us two has a bit of an issue at the moment. So,
well, Paul, we want to say hello to our guests, our audience, our listeners. We've got a great, faithful listeners. So we're looking forward to interacting with them today and really talking about this whole thing about connection and whether the rumor is true, whether guys are good connectors or not. I mean, that's the question, Shireen.
That's a big question. Apparently, Paul's having some difficulty, but we'll check in with that.
Paul, how would you rank your connection, mate? Would you say you're a good connector or what?
I reckon I'm a great connector, but I think it's the tech connection is probably needs a little bit of fine tuning. Yeah, what do you think, Tech Guy?
Actually, it's an interesting way to start, Shireen. Like the whole thing of technology and connection. I mean, that's part of the problems of connection, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's definitely changed the way we connect and it's changed the way we communicate. And it's allowed people to hide behind technology and hide behind a screen and a phone. And it's a very interesting conversation of how that's distorted connection, especially when we think about the social isolation statistics that we have that have never been higher in an era where we should be more connected than ever. Makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah. Marcus?
So over to you, mate. Now, Paul, let's do the good introduction of Shireen. I'll hand over to you because I know you've written something down there, because it's great having such a person like Shireen that has written books and she's got her own podcast. You got a podcast yet, or what have you got there, Shireen?
Yeah, I've got a podcast. A podcast that is all about peace, inner peace, that helps you connect. So it's all about, it's called Peace in My Pocket, or guided meditations and courses that, just help you find inner peace and sustain inner peace.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Paul, Mark, and the Tech Guy, Shireen, is a show talking about everything community, people, sports, controversial news, and so on. But it's fantastic having you because you're a self-empowerment coach, obviously podcaster, which is sensational. Author to the courage, author of the book, The Courage to Be You, and you're also passionate about helping people discover the best version of you. And I love that. I think that's certainly what I want to find out tonight in me. I want you to help me discover the best person I am, or the version of me. Yeah, can you help
I
me?
tell you what, mate, you could do well spending a bit of time with Shireen. I love having lunch with her. I like going for a walk with her. I love connecting with
Thanks
her
so
because
much.
I can talk to her about anything, and she always gives me that little gem, little bit of advice to really lift my spirits and help me along the way. And
Oh,
I'm hoping
awesome.
that the listeners are going to get that off Shireen today. I'm privileged working with her. And Shireen, it's so good to have you on 98.9 Northwest Empton tonight, talking about connection, talking about people, talking about life.
Nice.
It's so important, isn't it?
It's so important. I think, in light of what you're saying, men do get a bit of a hard rap of not being good connectors. And so I think it'd be really good to unpack that and to clarify it. And also to clarify that what we're talking about is quality connections, not quantity of connections.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So it's okay. I've only got one friend. That's okay. It's just
You'd
not
be
as good
lucky.
quality. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be in the higher statistics if you have one person that you feel is in your inner circle, because unfortunately, statistics show that many people say they don't have anybody that they can talk to.
Oh, wow.
Gee.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
It's
And
sad.
you see, and Sharon, you see a lot around also on socials about people being lonely. When you've got such connection going on, how could you
Yeah.
be lonely? I mean, it's bizarre.
And that's kind of why I think it'd be really good to unpack some of these
Yeah.
the language around this. And what do we mean by being lonely? What do we mean by being disconnected? What do we mean by being connected? And so, the language that's really been coming to me over the last few months is around authentic connection and quality connections, because I think if we really look at it and go, okay, well, why are men given this rap? And I'm only bringing up men because you've entitled the show "Men Are Not Good Connectors," which I myself I'm going to challenge. But I think it'd be really good to go, well, how come? And that's really about, well, what is the quality of our connection? And because I think sometimes if we have these guards up and these walls up, and that blocks connection. So I think that's maybe what many of us are referring to. So it'd be good to unpack that.
Love it.
Well, yeah, let's. I think we should make a start on it. And just quickly though, tell people what you do at Stride. What is Stride Education, and what do you do there?
So Stride Education is a not-for-profit, and we run school programs in primary schools and high schools, all focusing on social emotional learning. So social intelligence, which is what we're kind of going to be talking about today. And so that social emotional learning is all about the self. Who am I? How do I make choices? How do I make responsible choices? How do I build healthy relationships? And really learn about those soft skills and life skills to build that well-being, that part of interpersonal relationships. So we see that at the heart of well-being. And so we work with schools all around Australia, running a large suite of programs. And many of our programs focus on communication and connection. So our mission at Stride is to create a culture of connection in our schools. So, where we don't have things like bullying, where we don't have students saying that they feel lonely and isolated and scared to come to school, that there's connection, and that school becomes a platform to set us up for life and learn the social skills, the life skills, connection tools to really keep us connected and happy. So I think,
Shireen, is the emotional intelligence or the EQ or whatever you want to call it, do you help people grow in that?
Definitely. So that's really what we look at, is that emotional intelligence. And that's about, building greater empathy, about understanding people, about, learning things like reading body language and active listening tools, and how to read social cues from people, how to speak up for yourself assertively. These are the type of skills that we look at and explore in our programs.
Well, I think this is fantastic because we've got Paul Curry here. He runs Social Engine catering and hospitality. He's dealing with people all the time. And I think he probably could go to another level on all those things you talked about. And that increases his customer service, might increase sales, all that. What do you think, Paul? Do you think you could grow in this area a little bit, mate?
Well, mate, I love the fact that Julio, the tech guy, doesn't get a mention in this session. But yeah, I think I could certainly grow a little bit. Well, I thought I was pretty good connected, but I'm willing to improve, and get better.
All right. So how can Paul go from a well, let's not say what he is out of 10, but whatever it is, how is he going to grow in these areas? What were the areas again? You talked about empathy, reading the body
Well, we're
language.
looking at- yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors in that, but mainly it's about understanding people more, open communication, active listening, reading body language, being able to be attuned to people. So being able to, you know, read what another person is feeling or see what another person is feeling,
Yeah, true.
empathize with that, feel with them, listen, be
Yeah.
present in conversations. And I think, like, when we talk about the genders, I think that's where, you know, men do get a bit more of a harder rap, because some women would say, oh, he doesn't listen to me, or he doesn't hear me, or he, you know, tries to fix everything. And so just understanding what all of that means, you know, and clarifying that definitely allows you to have greater connection, you know.
Yeah,
and just
so
and
being
just
a bit-
also understanding that when we are connected and we feel connected, and we feel like, when I'm talking about connection, is a feeling like I belong somewhere, a feeling that I am seen and I am validated and I am understood, and I have people in my close inner circle that I can turn to, that I don't feel judged, I feel accepted, I feel like I can be authentically me. And that is the ideal of authentic connection, and that, you know, as we know, we feel happier, we feel healthier. Studies show we live longer when we have healthy connections in our lives.
Hey, what are you
Yeah,
feeling,
right.
Julio? How you reacted to this? Are you thinking this is something that you could learn a bit and grow from? What's going through your mind?
Like the notes I've made so far, so I'm trying to be understanding. I'm
Nice.
trying to be present in the conversation, trying to bring some empathy involved, and I'm also listening. So I guess in these terms, I'm hopefully learning something tonight.
There you go, Paul. And I thought Julio was sleeping,
Well done.
and he wasn't sleeping. He was right on it. Amazing.
Right on it, man.
Well done, Julio. It's
It's
great
sensational.
stuff. And so
Jeez.
this is, you must have a lot of people wanting to connect with you, Sheree, because these are all so important things. I mean, I'd love them for myself. You know, I'm trying to give them to Paul, but, you know, I could have a look in the mirror and think, okay, maybe I could grow in some of those areas, you know, and, you know, I think they're very good things, aren't they?
Well, I mean, for me, if I could give every single human being in the world a superpower, it would be empathy, to be more understanding, tolerant, and patient with
That's
each
good.
other. Because I think that is at the core of why we face a connection crisis. Because in the face of social media, especially with young people, I think so many young people are so scared of being judged, so scared of being roasted online, and, you know, being put online, and there's of being so exposed, that we've become more guarded than ever. We've become more shut down than ever.
I must admit, Paul, I find that you are someone that can really keep that positive interaction and positive thing. You're not a judging guy. You're really positive, and you create that positive energy. So, you know, I think that's one of your strengths in your job there with your, you know, social engine, how you run your canteens and the staff and the customers, mate. Is that,
Yeah,
do you
good.
sort of respond to that?
I do, absolutely. And thanks, Shireen, for, you know, bringing that up, because that's really important, about just stopping for a moment and just listening, and just having you know, even if you don't know that person, having a bit of respect even before you've met that person. Irrelevant. Corporate though, outside, so many people are just like go, nah, doesn't matter, whatever. You know, we need to take a step back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the old squash thing. You know, when you're ready to receive, you know, you take a step back in the court. You know, sort of to the back end there, Marcus. You know, ready to sort of, but you know, you've got to take a step back and then just give someone a go. So yeah, absolutely, man.
And I think there's like some key things that are going to break connection, and things that are going to really build connection. So, you know, the quality of listening, the quality of asking questions, the quality of being curious, and really staying present with another person, like learning how to listen on that level, is going to make a person feel seen, feel understood, and that is going to bridge connection between two people. So when we are distracted and we're talking, looking at our phones, or giving really short answers, or even giving an answer where we're trying to fix somebody, if we're listening to fix rather than listening to understand a person, like that is going to make a person feel that you're not really listening to me. You're not really present. And so I think it's so interesting because a lot of the times we feel a responsibility when people ask us to listen or ask us to be there. Yet if we kind of reframed that and looked at, well, if me being there means to create a safe space, which means by creating a safe space, I'm going to create a space where a person can speak. I'm not going to interrupt them. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to jump in and give them advice. I'm just going to let them speak and be themselves and guide them and empower them to find their own choices. A person feels empowered in that moment.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic stuff. But what prevents, like, if you're a bit of a sensitive type person, that doesn't help you with the connection, does it? I mean, some people are quite sensitive. If you don't talk to them in the right way, that's a good one. Okay, what do you mean by sensitive? Someone that is sort of reacts, because sometimes when you're sensitive about a subject, you become defensive, you can become reactionary, you sort of interpret things that people say, you know, like even when you get questioned, just like you questioned me, I could get a bit triggered. Think, oh, Shireen's questioning. You know what I mean? Like, does that limit connection, or is that more the connector?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, those are the type of disconnectors. A person that becomes defensive, a person that stonewalls. In fact, the Gottman Institute, which is an institute that studies relationships and has a wide range of evidence-based tools, they have 4 what they call divorce predictors that are bound to escalate conflict.
We better write these ones down, Julio. The divorce predictors.
Divorce.
Okay.
One of them is defensiveness.
Defensiveness.
Wow.
We have to remember that defense is
Don't
a
get
strategy.
defensive there, Julio. I think you got a bit defensive there, mate.
Guys, stop talking. Stop talking about me.
All right, so defensiveness is one.
We get into these cycles where one person's critical and one person's defensive, right? And so that's going to just escalate conflict. If we're going to escalate conflict, then we're going to disconnect.
Okay.
True.
Hold on, I want to.
You said when you're both, when you're defensive and critical, that's not you're not traveling well when you become both, is it?
No, well, and look, we kind of really simplify this, right? We connect with people that make us feel good about ourselves, right? And I love this. I think it was oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember. He wrote the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Suzuki.
No. It will come to me. It'll come to me. I can't believe I can't remember his name, but he's very, I've studied him for years. But anyway, one of the things I remember him saying is that the nervous system is designed to protect us, right? So if we are around somebody that causes us stress, we're going to produce cortisol. They're going to create adrenaline, and the nervous system in our wisdom is going to repel us from anything that is causing us stress. So like when we talk about why relationships break down, if we're in a cycle where we're causing each other stress, then slowly over time, we're going to feel less attracted because the nervous system is actually repelling us from what creates stress in us. So it's kind of like the signs of disconnection or falling out of love. And so if we think about it, if you are making me feel good, if you're making me feel validated, then I'm going to produce some of the yummy hormones like oxytocin, which is the connection hormone. So chemically, we're going to be connecting rather than feeling like I need to step away from you. So, that's kind of like the signs from it. So like if we're in a conversation where you're criticizing me and I'm defensiveness, then we're just going to we're triggering each other because we're creating stress.
Shireen, what is criticism? I mean, if I give you a bit of feedback and I say something about you, I'm not really criticizing you. I'm just giving you some positive feedback, and then you become defensive because I'm trying to help you. I mean, we're getting this sort of, is this part of why people split up?
Well, John Gray, thank you, Julio. Sorry.
Yay!
Well, Mark,
I told
think
you, Julio,
what you're saying, because you were talking about communication tips, right? So communication tips are going to connect us. If we learn to be really effective communicators and communicate with the desire to empower each other and have a balanced, mature conversation as opposed to triggering each other. And I think if we come into our communication with that intention, that I want to win-win here, that I'm
Yeah.
this is respectful conversation. So I'm going to say things in a way that are going to be less triggering. So for example, a very quick tip, right? If you say to somebody, if I say to you, Mark, why do you wear that t-shirt? I'm curious to know, why do you wear that t-shirt? Like, do you feel any like?
I say, well, what's wrong with my t-shirt? This is a nice t-shirt.
You've just created.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, but
I've just
Shireen-
created a defense in you, right?
yeah,
And the
yeah, but
reason,
I think
one of the little tweaks in the conversation is the word "you." The minute we put "you" in a conversation, a person has a natural tendency to
you're
defend
pushing,
themselves.
you're pointing. Yeah.
You're pushing
And
my
well,
buttons.
it's just so if I had to like even just eliminate the word "you" in that sentence, you would be less defensive. So there are
So-
communication strategies that we can learn that minimize conflict and minimize that.
So, Shireen, can you then phrase up the question that should be asked, or like if you so, what would you say to Mark in regards to the t-shirt? So let's rephrase the question.
Okay, so let's rephrase the question. So I could say something along the lines of, I'm curious to understand how you choose that color that you're wearing.
So am I. Mark, could you answer, please?
Well,
love it,
I
Shireen.
thought I wore it because I thought Shireen liked it. I'm trying to impress her. I'm trying to connect with her. I'm trying to build our connection, our rapport. And I thought this would be an attractive color for her. And I'm sort
And
of
it is
thinking
an
about,
attractive color.
well,
I love it. Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to get Paul to sell more hamburgers. And I thought that what we got to do is try and work out how we can connect to our customers, how we can get all those things you were talking about before, make our customers
is.
feel good. You know,
Look, it is the importance of connection. Shireen Blum is with us tonight, and obviously the wonderful guys here as well, Marcus and the tech guy. We're going to go for a quick break. We're going to go for an ad for a song. We're going to come back, and I want to unpack it further why he chose that shirt, because I don't think he's telling us the truth. I reckon he's getting the rules here. Marcus. I don't think you know. Can we come back? So
yeah,
we're
all
gonna go
right.
for a quick
And
break.
I suppose
I'm gonna-
we should be
I'm going to
asking.
play
I know you
Big
got a
Bill
quick break there,
Bronzy
but they're still with us here, Julio. We're going to ask the same question about why you're wearing that white t-shirt. I mean,
here on
good night, Julio.
98.9 Northwest FM. Good
Oh,
night.
you know, I'm trying to make sure that the color scheme goes with me, so I'm trying to maintain nice neutral colors.
So, Shireen, Paul's gone
Better
to a
not miss the
song.
point.
Yeah, Paul's gone to a song. We can still continue to have a bit of a chat. Julio's probably written down some stuff. You got any more notes to share us, Julio? Because that was a pretty impressive little thing where, you know, have you got anything else to share on the screen for us?
I actually do. This was probably, I'm not sure if they want to share it later on, but I'll probably put it up now. Is talking before that Cherie brought up something that I actually was looking at for 2024, which was social media use and how people have moved into this social media world. And I brought up the world stats at the moment, which came out in 2024 in January for the social media. And what threw me out of all these overview social media uses was how many hours were actually up in social media use per day. Now, the average of 2 hours and 23 minutes to me sounds absolutely ridiculous of time we're spending on our phones away from
Good,
other
mate.
people.
How are you?
I was just watching you on the net come through.
Hang on, we
The
might need to-
everything.
we might need to
Great that you've done
Get
that.
rid of Paul.
There we go.
There you go. Hey, put those stats up again, Julio, because I think that's a really interesting conversation you got there.
Yeah, so this
That's really
is just another view, like the population use and stuff like that. That's interesting too, to see that.
Now, sorry, Julio, just to interrupt you a little bit. I mean, this is sort of like a blokey show, but does that mean that 55 is blokes using the internet more than females? Is that what that's saying?
Yes, correct. So men are starting to overtake the media world with social media
Wow.
use.
Are you surprised by that, Shireen?
I am quite surprised that the men are overtaking. That's very interesting.
And
What does it say there? It's a bit hard to read. So,
So
more usage on social media.
correct, yeah. So males have a 53% use of social media, while females carry a 46% use, 0.5 use. So it's moving towards that side of the world. these are just good numbers to take in. What that throws me is that 84% of people under the age of 18 are users in that world out of all the people, which sounds normal. But if you then put it against the males and females, you start seeing a trend that guys are relying more on social media than normal contact with individuals.
Yeah,
And
well, I
females
mean, it'd be interesting to see, like, you know, face-to-face contact, if that's what that's referring to.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at, like, start looking at this and going, okay, what's changed? What's changing in our world that we need to spend 2 hours and 23 minutes each day on social media, and on top of that, why men are starting to grab it more often than females. So yeah, so there you go.
These are good stats, Julio, and because social media, Shireen, I know we've only got about 30 seconds, but you know, social media is part of the connection problem, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think, and it's just changed completely the way that we communicate.
Yeah. So,
welcome back, guys. We're you're on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah.
Mate. We're just talking a bit about social media and connection, and I would have thought. I mean, Paul, do you think males use social media more than females, or the opposite way around? Which way would you go?
Well, good point. Because funnily enough, the topical commentary, we're going to talk about a number of different things, but I'd say, I reckon it's probably fair to say it's a 60-40. What do you think? So 60% were female and 40% male?
Hey, Julio, there you go. Put the stat up. Show Paul the stat.
There you go, Paul. On the bottom, it shows
It's
females
the
versus male.
opposite way.
Opposite way, is it? Is that right?
Yeah. There you go, mate. So
Wow.
there you go. So yeah, sorry, we sort of set you up there, but you know, yeah, 53% male. So Shireen was quite surprised about it, weren't you, Shireen?
Well, it's interesting because I hear from a lot of men that, you know, confidence is an issue. And I think that in a world where, you know, we're living amongst a strong, empowered woman, you know, it'd be interesting to hear from some male out there. It'd be great if anybody in the audience would respond, because I'd love to hear this. How many men would feel, you know, more confident approaching a woman online than face to face?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know, because I think that there's so much of that where, you know, that fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of, you know, so many things that come up in that prevent it, where it's easier to do that online. So has that just become a bit of a scapegoat?
Well, why don't we use Julio? He's a male and he's in the show. Like, Julio, what do you feel? Do you feel more confident to do it online? Are you an online guy, communicator?
I'm not really an online communicator, but I do have a son that's a very heavily online communicator, and I do notice that he if he wants to communicate with anybody, it's done on texting, social media, especially with females. We did talk this about him dating, and every single person he's getting in contact with has been through the internet. So it hasn't been in person. So hasn't gone out to cafes and stuff like that and talk to other people, like with boys or girls, with his friends. They usually go out together, but they don't really talk to anybody else themselves. So I guess it's a new habit by males. I'm not sure about females, but yeah, it seems to be that direction.
Well, we're going to finish this segment in a second, Sheree, but how would you summarize this little topic about authentic communication, authentic connection? How would you sort of sum it up?
Well, I think it's about being real and being genuine and being courageous with our communication. So what I mean by that is, like, you know, like what we're talking about, using social media as a front or using a guard. And I think, look, when we meet other people, we're always a little bit guarded. But if we're going to hold back and be ingenuous, or we're going to be inauthentic, or we're going to be withdrawn in our communication, then that's obviously going to affect the quality of our connection. So if we're going to be open, if we're going to be courageous, if we're going to be, and what I mean by courageous is, you know, to be real, which is another word which I tend to dislike, but to be vulnerable. You know, how many times do we feel we can be vulnerable and be real with people? And I'd say, especially the young people would feel that's a very difficult thing these days, to feel like you can just be open and authentic and speak and trust other people that you can speak safely to them. And so I think that's why I think that step that I was talking about before is learning how to hold safe spaces for each other, how to empathize, how to really listen with curiosity and care and compassion is the game changer to healthier community, to healthier connection.
Yep. Yep. Breaking down those breaking down those walls and all those barriers and so on. Yeah.
So, kind of, if we think of it on an energetic level, just imagine that what you're giving out is going to determine the quality of connection. So if you're giving out just this little bit, then it's going to be a weak connection. If you're open-hearted, let's call it, then there's an energetic connection, there's an emotional connection. Again, you feel this person really, you're able to go really deep. And I think the depth and the authenticity in our connections is lacking, which is leading us to feel, oh, people don't get me, people don't understand me, people, I don't feel like I belong anywhere, I don't feel like I can be myself. And that is equating to a feeling of loneliness. So loneliness is not that I don't have people in my life, it's that I don't feel like I belong and have strong people that I can trust and turn to. Now that's a very sad element in our society.
Yeah,
it is very sad. But it starts, as you mentioned earlier in the start of the program, Shireen, about empathy. Yeah, so being standing back and just allowing people to respond and to connect and so on, and giving them that time and that effort. But how will it change? I mean, you're starting at schools, you're teaching this sort of thing within the school environment.
And I think that's through these conversations, we open, because we all see the reality of it. And, even with the young people, we're having the conversation when a young person, and I know my son's in the other room, so I'm not too loud, but I've had this conversation with him, so he knows. But, they're watching a lot of content online and a lot of disturbing content. And like, even for example, the videos where they're doing pranks or they're doing nasty things to each other online, you don't see the consequences of that behavior, right? You see it, people get laughed, you get rewarded for being nasty online, right? So then the young people are seeing that behavior, and then they identify with the characters, just like we used to identify with all the TV characters. They're identifying with the online influencers that they're seeing and then reenacting that behavior. But then in real life, there's consequences in those behaviors. And so, that's causing a lot of disruption in the classroom. I mean, we've got, there's a Senate inquiry this year into classroom behavior in Australia. And I feel that a lot of it, the kids are imitating material that they're seeing online and thinking that they can do the same thing. But
because it's okay.
Don't they say, Shireen, that Australian classrooms are some of the worst classrooms in the world?
Is that right?
Absolutely. And, we've got, we hear from teachers every day where teachers are feeling scared to come to school.
Why do you think it's so bad in Australia? I mean, you've got all these countries like what's going on in the Middle East. You've got what's going on in China, Korea, Ukraine, Russia. How come Australia's the worst?
Why Australia? In the world?
We're the lucky country. We've got, lots of things going positive for us. Why would we be so bad?
Well, I think that's why there's an inquiry into it, because to be honest, I'd really love to understand that a little bit more. And one of the things is that I don't think there's enough consequences, and I don't think that the system is stimulating our young people enough and offering enough options for them to stay engaged in schools.
Well, it'd be really good to hear from our listeners tonight on the whole thing of connection. Any comments you've got, just come and say good day to Julio. He's a bit lonely there. He's needing a connection. So if you want to connect with Julio, say good day to the tech guy. Paul, he needs to sell a few more burgers. And tonight's going to really help him because he's going to have a lot more empathy for our customers. He's going to have a lot more engagement, connection, authentic connection with our customers. So it's just the sales are going to go through the roof, Shireen. So this has been really, really good.
It's really good.
we're sort of moving on, but what I want to know is one thing that Paul, Julio, and I can do to really get better out there in the marketplace. Because in the marketplace, there's people who get triggered, there's people that are sensitive, there's people that are defensive, there's this person, that person. How can we be better people, more equipped to face that real world out there, which can be quite tough? And I'd hate to say it, but I think it can be quite tough for us males. Now, I don't know what you think about that, Shireen, but I think the world is tough for males. So what advice would you give to Paul, Julio, and myself as we venture out tomorrow into the big world?
Well, what I'd love to say, and I love that question, is that, to learn how to actively listen. And actively listen means really listen to understand. Listen with a really deep curiosity instead of defensiveness. So rather than taking things personally and trying to prove that you are right or prove your opinion or explaining or justifying yourself, getting really curious to understand how a person sees the world. So if we come back to your shirt, right? If I'm asking you a question about your shirt, instead of giving me a defensive reaction, one of the things that you can say is, I'm really interested to know how you see that shirt. Like what I'm even interested to know why you're asking me, or how come you're asking me, for what purpose. Immediately you're taking it deeper by asking the right questions. We take our connections and conversations deeper. Now, by you bringing it back to me, immediately you're going to make me feel seen. By showing curiosity to me, by really wanting genuine curiosity, right? By saying, I'm really curious to understand how you get to that, how you see this, what's your opinion on this, right? And if we are more open to each other and more
good, breaking it down, it's good.
Yeah. Then that's going to show me you care. Curiosity will lead to me feeling that you care for me.
There you go, Paul. That's going to lead to more hamburgers being sold, more dim sims.
That's it.
And,
exactly.
Julio, it might mean that you might get a couple of more friends, mate.
That's true. Yes, they're going to be actively listening. They're going to remember to just actively listen.
And I'm going to change my T-shirt because I don't think Shireen likes my T-shirt.
No, I really do like your T-shirt. It's the same color.
No, I think I'm being a bit defensive, aren't I? I'm being a bit defensive.
That's right.
Marcus, I don't think you're actively listening.
I should be asking, do you like pink, Shireen? That could be me. That could be a good question, Shireen. Do you like pink?
And I want you to notice that you immediately thought my question was an insult, whereas actually was a compliment.
That's it.
It was a compliment, exactly. Yeah. I like your shirt, Marcus. I like it. I love it.
All right, well, I'm going to actively
you can come play golf with me in that shirt and we would match.
Oh, fantastic. All right, bit of golf. It's fantastic. Now, this has been really helpful. Paul, are you feeling better?
Yeah. I'm feeling better. I'm empowered because I know that I'm not going to see that shirt again for at least the next couple of months. So.
Oh, and Dave likes my shirt too. So there you go, Dave. Dave, thanks, mate. It's great to have you on the show tonight, mate. And it's a great shirt and it's fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, it's great time here with Paul Mark and the Tech Guy, Shireen Blom with us this evening. It's absolutely empowering. The importance of connection. But we're going to go to 7 around 7. And I don't want to forget the tech. Oh, mate, you surprise me every time. Zip. 7 around 7 with Paul Mark and the Tech Guy and Shireen Blom. Hey, listen, let me tell you. All right, 7. We talked tonight about the importance of connection. Do you like the music in the background? I think I've picked your favourite there, Marcus. It's the cricket woes, the Channel 9 cricket series.
Yeah, lovely,
have a listen to that one.
Yeah.
All right, so it's the top 7 around 7. It's 7 Apple CarPlay hacks you might not know of. Now, Marcus, this is for you, mate. I'm concerned about you and your car. I've been in the trip in the car with you a couple of times. So how do I get the most out of Apple CarPlay? That's the question you've been asking me. Well, let me just reel it off. Number one, we have a drum roll there, Tech Guy. No, we don't.
Oh, I wish I did.
Number one is customize your home screen to rearrange the amount of apps you have. All right, so that's on your Apple CarPlay.
My home
So you can-
screen on
you
my
can-
phone, or like which
Home
screen are you
screen
talking about?
on your phone and on the
the
dashboard
phone.
in your car. No, on your car.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
So you can rearrange it. So that's number one. It's a number one hack. So how did you know? Did you know that? No, I don't think you did, Marcus.
No.
This one, the second one. Number two is check your messages. All right. How crazy is that?
Have you sent
Is
me a
that right? No,
message?
sorry, mate. Let me go back. So number two is view your calendar. So how do I get the most out of my Apple CarPlay function? You know, app on in your car is view your calendar. So you can check your calendar out whilst you're driving. So you had a date tonight here
Is
at
that legal?
98.9. Of course it is. But hang on, if you don't jump the gun yet, mate, because this is all about you. Because number 6 talks about Siri. So I'll come back to Siri. So the number 3 hack that you might, I don't know if you knew, is check your messages, right? So we've talked about the calendar. Check your messages so you can actually check your messages whilst you're driving on CarPlay, right? It's all about voice activation. Number 4 is adjust general settings. So your home screen look and feel. So did you know that? So you don't have to wear that pink. You could be in black and you could have a pink background. So you could adjust your CarPlay, your Apple Play, just to make it look nice just for you. Whilst Paulie hops in the car when you're taking me from Montana to Croydon, all right, we can see a different dashboard. All right, so we're talking, guys, we're talking to our wonderful listeners out there in Glenmore Land and around Melbourne, 7 Apple CarPlay hacks that you might not know, or how do I get the most out of the Apple CarPlay? Number 5 is personalize your streaming experience. Now, Marcus, sit back and relax here for a minute, because now you can spin around your playlist of music, because who do you like, mate? Nick Kershaw and all those guys, right? Are you in the 80s, the 90s?
Oh, 80s, mate. 80s. Brian Adams, you know.
Brian Adams. So you could have Brian Adams up the top and Brian Adams all the way through. So it's going to be a whole playlist of Brian Adams, right? And you can also watch YouTube. So this is stuff that I'm getting off all the powers that be of Google.
Am I going to run into a pole, mate? Am I going to run into the car in front of me? I mean, good night.
I don't think you can do that.
Sure. You don't think you can do it?
Not while I'm driving, mate. There's a lot of madmen on the road. You know, got to watch out for Julio on his push bike.
That's true.
You know.
That's it. What about you, Shireen? What about
I don't think my CarPlay will let me watch YouTube, but
No?
I've definitely started to use the voice activation to get it to do a lot more.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
I
So
don't think it's letting me watch YouTube.
Well, I tell you what, though, I'm in this van that's much higher than the car that I had before, and I can see a lot of people, and there's a lot of people watching YouTube, watching exactly what you're talking
driving.
about. Yeah. Well, they're on the freeway, and when I say they're watching, they're driving, but they're playing YouTube, and it's all this sort of stuff going on, and it's just like, come on, man. I mean, you got to focus.
No wonder the accident. Julio, get a little graph on the screen about the accidents going up, mate. No wonder we're having so many accidents on the road. Paul's getting people to watch YouTubes and all sorts of stuff on their screen while they're driving.
No, I'm not getting to watch it. I'm saying it's available. You can actually do that. You can actually do that. But okay, number 6. This is for you, Sharon. It's take advantage of Siri. All right, so voice assistant. Yeah, so I think seems like you knew it. Mark,
Yes.
Did you know that you can use Siri?
So
No, Siri,
play
my messages for me.
Siri doesn't like me much. I don't even think Siri talks to me. I've got my phone here. Hello, Siri. She doesn't say anything.
She's not going to do it.
No,
Is that what you've been saying?
talking.
Hello,
The
Siri.
best way to find your phone in your house.
Hello, Siri.
Is to say, yeah, exactly, to call out to
Hey,
Siri. So
Siri,
where's my
where are
phone?
you?
So
See?
I think you're pretty tech
Oh, actually, it
savvy.
just said hello to
Siri.
me. It just said
There
hello,
you go.
Paul. How's that?
Well, I'm looking forward to the tech guy very soon coming back within this half hour. But number 7, put your hat, sit down and relax. The number 7 Apple CarPlay hacks that you may not have known is to set up the do not disturb sign whilst you're driving there, Marcus. So you put that do not disturb
Ammo,
up.
because Ammo's put a comment, and he's a bit of a tech sort of guy. What's he saying, Julio?
There you go. I better stop watching you guys whilst I'm driving at home. There you go.
I love it.
It's
That's just
good
beautiful.
to hear from Ammo, another one of our great listeners. Always got some great advice, Ammo. I wonder how Ammo connects. I wonder what his advice of connection would be. And David, if you've got advice about connection, I mean, they're both good connecting, these two boys. And
we should get Ammo on the phone. Just ring him up right now, Marcus.
We should get him on the phone. And
That's it,
I think
yeah.
he's driving, mate. He's not going to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry about that.
But no, it'd be good to know about what Ammo thinks about connection, like what his number one tip. And Dave, too, if you've got a tip about connection, mate, it'd be good to here. And sorry, Paul, you're top 7, mate. I mean, it's causing a
That's the
few
top 7.
accidents out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it goes. That's how it rolls, eh? But I'm
That's
loving
it.
I'm loving our conversation piece with Shireen around the importance of connection. And I really wanted to, as an actual fact, I thought, let's just wipe 7 around 7 and just continue to talk about, our young guys and girls in this whole social media space and the challenges that they're having around, connecting and being able to have that face-to-face conversation. Because I know our good friend Marcus here, mate, he always catches me. How are you today? What are you up to? And he's always in front of you. And that's good, because that keeps you alive and keeps you real. At least someone loves me. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
amazing.
Paul, I wanted to ask Shireen, what is Stride Education doing about this whole area with young people at the moment? All the different issues. You've got problems in the classroom. A lot of young people are struggling. What is Stride Education trying to do? What's your focus?
Well, what I'm so grateful for with the work that we're doing is we get to go into the classrooms and have conversations on ground level with young people around these topics. And, so we've got some really interesting programs at the moment, like our Supportive Friends program, which focuses on friendships and how to be a good friend. We've got empathy as a very big part of every program that we do. So we have quite detailed activities and conversations around empathy. We have a program called Men to Be, which is really interesting and is a program for young men that talks about positive masculinity. And positive masculinity is really about how boys and men can connect with each other better. That's a really interesting with what we're talking about is, what some of the research that has been found is that boys act up when they feel disconnected or that they don't feel they belong anywhere.
There you go.
So it's really interesting. We see it all the time. There's the herd mentality and pack mentality.
Yeah.
And so, learning how to build these healthy relationships. And, I think what I really wanted to bring up today is, the missing piece that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to connection and loneliness is that the first step in all of this work is a connection with yourself. And I think that's the key with a lot of what we're doing is the focus is outside of ourselves. And especially for young people, there's almost like a loss of identity or a confusion of identity of who they are. I don't even think that's a sign of today's time. I think even, it's always a sign of early adolescence, of discovering who you are. And I think that's a lot more amplified and confusion around that these days. So, I think.
So, Shireen, just before we move on from that, how does one find out about themselves? Like where do we go? What do we do? What's your advice for trying to discover who you are? Like, what would you tell Julio,
that's
for
a great
instance?
conversation, but that self-inquiry, there's like for men these days, there's so many men's group, there's so many women's group, there's online groups, there's online courses, self-development. So really connecting with yourself.
But Julio should need to go to a men's group to find out about who he is. Can't we give him some other tips?
Well, you can go and see a coach. But I think even just doing some self-inquiry around, who am I? What matters to me? What are my values? What are my beliefs? What are my non-negotiables? What are my boundaries? What makes me feel really happy? What did I used to do as a child that made me feel really happy? What makes me feel creative? What makes me feel alive? What makes me feel depleted? Just starting to do some self-inquiry and taking the time to look within rather than just reaching outside of ourselves. I think that's also,
I like those questions, Shireen. And if our audience or listeners have got any answer to those questions, what makes you happy? What sort of things make you happy? Paul, I think music for you would be a big one, wouldn't it? The music seems to
a massive
make
one.
you happy. A bit of a jazz man.
Yeah, love it. Love my shows. Love, listening to jazz all the time, YouTube at home and all sorts of things. But, watching different artists and different things certainly keeps the level right. Well, I think.
Yeah.
Keeps the level right. But yeah, I love that. What about you, tech guy?
Yeah, Julio, what makes you happy, mate?
Oh, gadgets and building stuff. So as long as I could get gadgets and build stuff, I'm really happy in my own little world there to sit there, which you're going to get to see hopefully in the next couple of shows. So see where we go from there.
Yeah. No, awesome. Well, it's coming up in about 5 minutes anyways. But what about you, Shireen? What about you?
Oh,
What makes you happy?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of things that I can ask, but I'm going to challenge you both in those answers because, you know, again, we look at like we're doing something or we're something outside of ourselves that makes us feel happy. Where, you know, what if happiness was, you know, that feeling like I've often had this feeling when I'm in nature, and that feeling of I'm one with everything, and I am safe, and I am, you know, deeply grounded and deeply connected, where you can actually kind of almost feel a cosmic connection, right? I know for me that's created unbelievable authentic happiness, because I think that's part of this conversation as well, is we look for happiness as instant gratification and more hedonistic things rather than that authentic, natural, blissful happiness that can happen.
That's interesting.
Because I can say to you, I'm happy with my partner. I'm happy with I'm playing golf. I'm happy when we're doing all these things. But, you know, how many people can sit in silence and feel peace and happiness? And that's what self-connection gives you.
Yeah, it's a good challenge for you there, Paul. How are you responding to that, mate?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, interestingly, we've segued into happiness, because in the world, the list of 143 countries and territories, Australia's at 10th place has been the happiest continent. So we're in the top 10 of 143 countries.
Who's the happiest country? Who's the happiest?
I think it's Norway. So Norway's up there in the top there. But New Zealand came 11th. And United Kingdom 20th, and United States is after the 23rd amount. So, but they talk about, and I thought we could go into it, but I think I'll just continue with Shireen and answer and continue on. I think the topic's really important. But they talk about the age group difference, that young people aren't happy. The obviously over 30 to 60 are happier in the studies and research, and the under 30s are unhappy. So. You know, and I think it's just been so awesome that we've talked about this tonight, how we can restructure and reassess and go back, right? I think, that's just wild.
It's important, yeah. No, it's been great talking about all this stuff, connection, Shireen, and giving us some practical tips. And Julio, have you got all that? Could you go through maybe all the different things you've sort of got out of tonight, like some of those things you've written down, and just remind us from the start?
Yeah, so basically from the start was because understanding seems to be a big topic, basically understanding each other together with empathy for each other. For Mark, we really got to concentrate on this present in conversation, especially when we talk about, you know, style, clothing, that sort of stuff. So go from there. Active listening is also up there. One thing that Sheree has reminded us, that don't get defensive. Move away from the defensiveness, and also don't be critical.
What'd you say it for? What'd you say it for, Julio? You having a go at me?
I'm trying to get Dustin.
Hey, tech guy, can we go back to be present in conversation?
Yeah, there we go.
Shereen, can you break it down a bit?
It's good stuff here, Shireen. We got to all learn from this, and you know, I think that not being defensive or critical or all this sort of stuff, and being positive, proactive, adding value to people. I mean, how do you wake up in the morning, Shireen? How do you prepare yourself for this world that's so challenging out there?
Oh, well, I'm a very big believer in morning practice, and that your kind of first thought for the day is going to set you up for the day. And really kind of set the intention and the energy of the day. So, you know, I wake up every morning feeling grateful. I wake up, I think one of the most important tools to happiness and connection is a sense of humor and a sense of fun, you know, to not take life too seriously, and to remember those moments, and that we can choose peace in every single moment. We can disagree with people and we can become defensive and we can become critical, or we can understand and be empathetic and be patient and tolerant and choose peace. So, I wake up in the morning with that choice that I choose to be happy. I choose to be grateful, and I choose to keep myself in that abundance mindset, because I've learned that whatever you give out to the world, the universe, it just gives back to you. So if I say I'm happy, it just brings me more things to be happy for.
Yeah, I think it's such a great way to live, Shireen. A great philosophy. It's a great philosophy of organisations. I think I might get you working in our canteens, because I reckon if we get you in there, what do you reckon, Paul? We'll see the sales go up of burgers and all sorts of stuff.
Yes. I think we need definitely come in and work on some of our team. That'd be great. Absolutely. Let me tell you. Well, no, I'm going to go.
That's not my frying schnitzels.
Yeah. Well, we can give you a little bit of exposure there. No, I love what you're saying, and also it's a self-check for me going back into with my team. It's a little bit edgy at times, and sometimes we don't hold back and stop and sort of rethink. So I'm going back in tomorrow morning rethinking. I love that. That's really good, and take a different approach. So, but I agree with you. Choose the right outcome for the day. Have that mental, that mindset approach. But
and I think that's the form of self-empowerment, really. That you're in control of what you're in control of what movie you're making right here, right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Shireen and everyone, it is Talking with Tech Guy. We're going to give Tech Guy a space here for a couple of minutes. So we've got the sounds going in there with Julio, the Tech Guy. Yeah,
that's it. And
let's do it here on 98.9 Northwest FM.
This week is just talking about tech stuff that I love to talk about. So as probably most of you are aware or not aware, I love cameras. And to explain the use of cameras and stuff, I just decided to show you how much I love them that I had to make a video about it. So here we go.
It's a camera that takes pictures and photos as well as still images, using a new fancy backlit sensor to take awesome pictures and photos as well as still images. These pictures are processed in 26 million pixels that are mega. That's a lot of megapixels. That's right, the Fujifilm X-T3 cropped sensor can replace your video recorder with its impressive moving picture capturing capability in stunning true color and also in black and white. Recording in true life with the new Fandangled 4K at 24 to 60p and in crisp Full HD in 24 to a whopping 120p for that extra dramatic slow motion shot, the one you desperately need for your Facebook timeline. Also, if you own a new fancy phone, you can easily connect to it using Bluetooth or wireless fidelity, short for Wi-Fi. Make this beast of a camera yours. The Fujifilm X-T3, the new age photographer's perfect camera. Goatee and man bun not included.
Wow.
That's sensational, Tech Guy.
Great,
what? Hey, did you change your shirt? Did you change your shirt?
Yeah, I started to notch up with Mark there. So.
Come on, Paul, get with the program, mate. Go get your shirt on. Julio's, you've made a big difference to Julio's life tonight, Shireen. Look, he's even changed his shirt. I reckon that's
wait till next week.
Said. Or it could be because what's Ammo saying here, Julio?
There you go. Is belonging similar to connection? Recent research has found that belonging is a fundamental human need and perspective of all positive mental, physical, social, economic, and behavioral outcomes. Young people today, especially, have a sense of not belonging.
Yeah. What do you think about that statement there, Shireen?
Well, I love that Amos brought that up. And I think it's what I was saying before is that connection just find is a feeling that I belong and that I'm understood. And so connection is not about that there's people in my life and that I have, it's not about a proximity thing. Connection is a feeling that I belong, that I matter. And I
do you think Julio changing his T-shirt means he wants to belong to me? Was it sort of like him trying to get my acceptance because I was too defensive, too critical of him tonight?
Yeah. Yeah. And look how it's brought out your forehead, Julio.
Yes.
Or was it because Julio did a lot of active listening
Call it a
and
foreign.
changed his T-shirt?
And
Being
present conversations. Being by present. Being present
I love it.
conversation.
I love it.
Tell you what, we made a
It's
big
gold,
impact tonight, Shireen. And
It's
this
gold.
is a practical example of what the impact can be. It can change
Okay.
someone's life. It's changed Julio's life tonight.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's the Paul Mark. Can I just jump in? Sorry, Shireen, for 1 second. But this is what this show's all about. It's about, three guys coming together, wonderful guests, talking all things and just having a little bit of fun with it. And just, to let people know, our listeners out there in the market, obviously on socials, that, you can be, it's all natural. I mean, it's just, let's have a little bit of fun and enjoy life together. Yeah. Sorry, Shireen, what were you going to say?
Absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
can't remember, but I was going to say that
Sorry.
this should be uniform for the show.
That's right. And Shireen, I think what you said before is really, we're just going to take things a bit lighter, don't we? Life is serious. Let's just enjoy each other's company and maybe have the thing that people are okay. Like, they're not having a go at you. You don't have to be defensive. You don't have to be critical. You don't have to be angry, because there's a lot of angry people out there. Let's just enjoy life, have a bit of a laugh. And as Ammo reckons, we're twins
That's
now,
it.
Julio and I.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll wait till I bring my shirt in next week. Guys, we've got to frame it up. And just around the table really quickly, Shireen, thank you so much for coming in this evening. So your last final word as we go to music on the hour here at 98.9 Northwest FM, because we are back next week. But the final word from you, Shireen?
Oh, look, just thank you for having me. Thank you for having this conversation. And I think that, it starts with one person genuinely wanting to be present to another person. So I think if we all choose to be that person, then we'll have a more connected world.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Marcus, the final word
Well,
and for next week.
I'm just really grateful for Julio. I mean, I'm really grateful that he's sort of connected with me in a way he has. So gratefulness is really good.
No, that's awesome. Julio, a tech guy?
Yes, well, to me, I just think of Mark all the time, and I'm really glad he's actively listening now to what's going on in the program.
Yep, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for our listeners. Thank you for our Facebook and social media impact, guys. Thank you. Continue to feedback, but we'll look forward to seeing you next week at the Paul Mark and the Tech Guy show. Don't forget to jump on the socials and check us out and drop us a couple lines. We'd love to hear from you. And Shireen Blom, thank you so much. Congratulations and good luck out there. Continue doing great works and making changes. See you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks,
then.
Shireen.
Bye-bye.
See you, Julio. Paul.
Bye.
See you guys.